I just want to give a quick overview on toddlers coloring books. Um, Gone were the days that we just think that toddlers are coloring just to get them busy. Research has actually found out that they gain a lot, mentally speaking, by coloring. And the first thing that comes to mind when you look at coloring for toddler is that it helps them develop cognitively in the sense that they choose the colors that they want, they decide where they want to apply the color, and they say within the confine lines, that is the diagram. For some of them who choose to, I know that most of the time they just want to color anyhow. But as time goes on, they realize that this is a picture or this is the image I need to color, and they try to stay within this confinement. And this, in the long run, will help them to develop, skills on how to use the limited space that is made available onto them. Also, it helps them to make decision. I want a color. Which color do I need to use? We don't think about it most of the time. You see leaf, or most of the leaves are green except for the fall that the leaves are turning yellow. So a toddler will pick a green crayon or a green coloring pen and start coloring because they know leaves are usually green. So it helps them to make right decision. Okay. Another thing that it helps toddler to do is to develop their creativity and imaginative skills. Yes, so they can create something out of you. They color something and they will try to mimic and draw something that looks similar. And in the process of drawing that, they may even end up drawing a meaningful image of something else. So it helps them to really create um, the features that they will like, and it helps them to imagine the nature. They imagine, they just give colors to nature the way they feel, and that is what brings beauty to our nature today, because we see different styles and fashion. People just mix and match color, and they don't have to follow the status quo of coloring, and that is where the artistic um, character in an individual comes out. And then another thing the coloring will help we help toddlers to do is to develop their fine motor skills. And as they develop, they can grab a crayon, they can hold it, dexterity. They're using their fingers, they're moving their fingers more, they grab things more, they put things on the ground. They put the coloring or crayons or pen on the paper, and they try to trace things out. So it helps them to be more handy, so to speak. Another thing the coloring will help the toddlers to achieve is that it helps them to self-express. They can express themselves. Sometimes some toddlers may not want to talk to you, or they're not even talking yet, but they color some pictures for you, or they even draw something for you. That is how they feel the world around them. That is the lens through which they view the world around them. So it helps them to express their feelings. It helps them to express themselves. And sometimes when you call them to share what they have colored, they can talk to it. Through that, they develop communication skills, listening skills, speaking skills, all those communication skills they're able to gradually develop. And more importantly, they learn how to use appropriate language here, vocabulary. So when they're talking about plant, they mention things like stem, leaves, green, different color, colors that go with plant and all that. So they use language appropriately. They use words selectively that match, even not just be big vocabulary, but they're able to select the right word for the right context. And another thing that coloring will help them to achieve is that it will help them to focus and concentrate. You know, when you give them coloring, a lot of parents use coloring as a destructive mechanism, especially for busy kids. It's actually helping them to stay focused. If a child is very active and then you call them to come and color the picture that they like the most, they'll probably sit down and do some nice coloring for you. So it helps them to stay focused and to develop their ability to focus. A lot of adults, they're grown up, they're jumping from one profession to another, jumping from one skill to another. They're not focused. This is a bit. This is one of the best way to develop the skill right from when they are toddlers. And emotional development. You see that a lot of kids may be throwing tantrums, may be very hyperactive, crying a lot. You can understand them. As a matter of fact, the autistic children, this is one of the way to get them engaged because they want to be independent. So coloring is one of the ways to achieve that purpose, that goal for them. So it helps them to develop good emotions, to manage their emotions as well. Um, Another thing that it will do is it will give them sense of accomplishment. So when they're able to color and they can sense that they have accomplished something for that day, so they are more confident in themselves. It gives them, it boosts their level of confidence. It helps them to believe more in themselves. If you ask a toddler to color a cat for you, toddler colors the cat, the, the toddler will take credibility for doing that. This is my work. I did it. I made it happen. Things like that. So it really helps them a lot in that area. Another thing the coloring will do is to help them understand boundaries. So they know that, okay, I have to color within this paper, not outside. So they know that there's always boundaries in life. They know how they interact with their environment. They know that probably when I'm working or when I'm doing something on the paper, I don't have to go outside the line, you know. And as parent or as teacher, you always remind them to stay within the line. So it helps them to understand boundaries, and possibly when they're grown, they know boundaries in relationship too. When they relate with other people, they know that, okay, this is what I should do. I shouldn't go beyond this level in my relationship so that I don't outstep my boundaries. So, social interaction, we can overemphasize this. We can never overemphasize it because when a toddler is coloring, we get a time that they have to share. Sometimes in a class, they will share crayons, they will share materials with their fellow toddlers, and by doing this they interact, they're able to talk, they learn to use their persuasive words like please, thank you, all right, things like that. So they learn language from there, they interact, and this help them to better prepare for school. um Therapeutic benefit, it helps in many ways to keep them calm. This is all parents use coloring for in most cases, but that is not all that there is to coloring. A lot of things that toddlers can benefit from coloring. So it is very therapeutic. It helps them to calm down. It helps them to stay focused. It helps them to interact with others, and so on and so forth. And also, it helps them to bond really well with their parents. Like a home, if you're engaging your toddler with coloring, you can talk to them and you can also study them closely. You know their personality, you know the traits they carry, you know the their don'ts and their do's. You know what they're probably going to be good at. Maybe it's going to be language, it's going to be art, it's going to be whatever. You can study them closely when you're able to bond with your toddler. You can understand their perspectives in life. And also, the last thing I'm going to mention here with the coloring is the coloring will help them to understand the culture and the environmental um, things around them. So it gives them culture and environmental awareness. For instance, you ask them to color a scene, maybe a scene classroom. So they know this is a classroom, this is where people learn. You can ask questions, what's going on here? Who is this person that's standing? They'll tell you this is a teacher teaching the people in the classroom. So to it helps them to adapt, to understand what our environment is made up of, to better understand the cultural components of our environment. You can ask them to color different types of people in their cultural attire. Maybe where you're located, part of the world you're located, you can actually name those people. So it helps them to understand the culture, the environment, the structures, the nature, and all that. So coloring, and there's something the colors, do to our brain. It helps our brain to visualize things better when you are more engaged in coloring. When you like color, that is the idea of all these videos, all this visual learning and aids that we use now in school, because they bring the picture more closely to us. The picture becomes real when we have them in different colors. I hope I've been able to enlighten us. So, coloring books of any kind, I'm not just saying this creative toddler's coloring book alone. As many coloring books as you can get for your toddler is going to help them in the long run to grow up to be good adults, to be good children, then good adults. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.